do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another episode of the Just Ballin' Podcast. Today, we are going to be doing a little award update and give out our 2024 season awards here in March with about a month to go here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can probably see a different background here. I'm home in New York. This used to be my setup, I guess, like pre-2018. And ever since I kind of like moved to Philly throughout school in like 2019 for Temple University, now I just kind of live in the city of Philadelphia. That is where my normal setup is. So this looks a little bit different, as it looks like I'm kind of in a storage unit container type thing with all the container boxes behind me. It's my parents have pretty much put it into like a storage room, as I'm here a little bit less frequently. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the difference. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you probably don't notice a difference too much. So this is my third time trying to record this again. I brought home my old PC that might be messed up completely and is not doing well with trying to record these. So unfortunately, I will be kind of sounding repetitive to myself, but not to you guys at all. So I've put this on a laptop and hope it's going to work out a little bit better. So yeah, I'm excited to do this. We're pretty much going to go through all the normal awards. So like MVP, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, all of those. We'll do Executive of the Year and Coach of the Year also. And then we're going to do our teams awards as well. So like we'll do all NBA teams, which is now positionless, and you got to play 65 games. We're going to do all defensive teams, which is interesting that it is not positionless. Maybe the NBA thought it would just pretty much all go to centers, but we'll be doing those, and we'll be doing all rookie teams, which is kind of like positionless as well. I'll have like some stat head comparisons up on the screen throughout this, as you can kind of see who my candidates were for the main awards, and then we'll get into the team awards as well. So we'll start off with MVP. I got 4 candidates right now. Giannis, Luka, Shea, and Jokic. Now I recently did my MVP ballot and ladder, and I did have Donovan Mitchell 4th in that. I had Giannis 5th, and I had Tatum 6th. I still could come around to like Donovan Mitchell being ahead of Tatum, but I think I've changed my mind, and you guys kind of convinced me otherwise to have Giannis this high, and I think so. I think like I care about team record, so if I'm gonna have Luka, I feel like I gotta give Giannis some like credit for being the 2 seed in the East, having 41 wins, while the Mavericks are 34 and 28. And do I think Luka is probably more valuable to the Mavs as Giannis is to the Bucks specifically this season? Maybe, because without Luka, the Mavericks I feel like would be like a 12th seed in the West. Without Giannis, the Bucks would probably be like the 8th seed in the East, something like that. But I don't know. That doesn't really matter because that's a woulda, coulda, shoulda, and you're not really doing enough like that. I know that was a big MVP argument for LeBron all those years. So for MVP, Giannis is averaging, like, he's played 59 games. He's averaging 31 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists a night. Very impressive for Giannis. 1.3 steals, 1 block as well. And I think that's underrated about Giannis's game is his defense. He's still one of the best rim protecting bigs in the league. And I know he plays with Brook Lopez, but his perimeter defense, his post defense, his inside defense is still top notch and one of the best in the league. His 3-point percentage is 30%. It's funny because it seems like 30% looks so much better than 29% from 3. He's shooting 66% from the line. Always going to be a big thing with Giannis. And he is an incredible defender, like I mentioned. The metrics, like the defensive analytics, are there for him. You can also include him kind of in the deep boy conversation. I actually don't have him for that later, but we could throw him in there. But the Bucks are 41 and 21. Want to give credit to that. I think an MVP should go to somebody with a top 5 record. And if you wanted to give it to him, I'm cool with that. I think the top 2, though, are pretty standard in Jokic and Shea, but I would not be upset if Giannis won. Now, Luka, I think I'd be a little bit upset on because I was like always like Harden over Russ for the 2017 MVP because the Thunder were a 6th seed, and the Mavericks right now are the 8th seed. They are 34 and 28. They're the 8th seed. They could finish the season as the 9th seed because the Lakers are only half a game behind them. What if they like don't make it out of the play-in tournament? What if they lose to the Lakers, the Warriors, the Kings in the play-in, and for the 2nd straight year, the Mavericks do not make the playoffs? Now that would be kind of insane. And I don't think like Luka would ever want out, but that would just be a big failure too because they traded multiple draft picks at the deadline to get guys like Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. So if they are not going to make the playoffs with this team, that's not good. I think Jason Kidd would definitely get fired even though they made it to the conference finals back in 2022. So I don't think it should go to Luka. I don't think it should go to Luka, but his numbers are insane. 54 games played, 34.5 points, 9 rebounds, 9.8 assists a night. He's averaging 1.4 steals, but he's not really a great defender. But his volume, usage, and his efficiency, off the charts. 50% from the field, basically. 38% from 3, 79% from the line. Imagine he was a better free throw shooter. This dude would be averaging like 37 points a night. There's a lot to be desired on the defensive side of the floor, and I feel like Luka has these games where it's like a 30-point triple-double. It was kind of like this past night against the Pacers, and it's happened multiple times as of late, where he'll have like a video game stat line. It's like 35, 12, and 10, but it'll be like a minus 14, and they'll be down by like double digits in the third quarter. So I don't know. There's some weird things with team success this year with the Dallas Mavericks, and I think that's going to hold back Luka from being in the MVP conversation. Next up, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who him and Jokic are like a 1A, 1B for me. I mean, I literally just did my MVP ladder, and I had Jokic 1, and that hasn't changed. But Shai is like, it's probably like 51% Jokic, 49% Shai is where I'm leaning right now. Shai has played in 60 games this year, like Jokic. He's averaging 31.1 points per game. He's the 31-point merchant. Just always seems to be averaging 31 points. 5.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. Very good perimeter defender, too, for being the number one scoring option. He's averaging 2.2 steals and 1 block a night. The same amount as Giannis, the same amount as Jokic, which is kind of crazy. His efficiency is also off the charts, and he has a chance at going 50, 40, 90 this year, which would be mind-blowing. It's going to be tough, but he's shooting basically 55% from the field, 38% from 3, and 88% from the line. The dude is efficient. He can get to any spot he wants. He's so shifty. He's so agile. And we could just like date back to that Boston game early in the year where they tried some of the best defenders in the league on him, like Jrue Holiday, like Derek White, and it didn't work. And they had to like experiment with Tatum on him as well. And he has led the Thunder to being up there in the Western Conference this whole season. They're 42-19. They're half a game behind the Timberwolves for the best team in the Western Conference, and they are like half game behind the Timberwolves for the second best record in the NBA, with Boston there at 1. So yeah, Shai has done an incredible job on both ends of the floor. He's had winning to this team, and I think that's a resume. And that's a recipe, I should say, for having an MVP resume. So Shai is my 1B, but my 1A is Nikola Jokic. 60 games this year, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, over a steal a night. Actually is averaging less blocks per game than Shai, which is kind of funny. His efficiency is insane, 58% from the field, 35% from 3. Like that 3 to end the first quarter against the Suns last night was also kind of crazy. It looks so gross, but it goes in. 81% from the line. And I think his defensive numbers have actually been pretty good this year. I mean, like the Nuggets are a good defensive team, and he is like the guy that's playing the most on this team. I mean, they're the 10th ranked defense right now, and Jokic's defensive numbers actually look pretty good. And if you look into like defensive box plus minus and defensive win shares, he's up there as well. I don't think he should be in the deep point conversation, but I think he's been better than people give him credit for on the defensive side of the floor. So he's not like a liability by any means there. The Nuggets are also just a half a game behind the OKC Thunder. The Thunder are 42-19. They're 42-20. They could end up as the 1 seed by the end of the year. But I think I'm going to go with Jokic to get his third. I wonder where MVP would be, or like Embiid would be here if he was going to play 65 games, because it looks like he was going to go back to back, but that is not going to be the case. I'd be perfectly fine if Shai got his first, be perfectly okay if Giannis got his third, and if Jokic got his third. I think Luka should be in the conversation, but I don't think he should win it. And I think if like Donovan Mitchell got it, I mean, I'm all for Mitchell getting it because the Cavs are going to have the team success, and they've had a lot of injuries this year, which can help the narrative. Tatum, I mean, I'd be okay if he got his first, but for a team that's like 48-13, that's had 5 all-star or borderline all-star caliber players, it's tough at times. And Tatum, I feel like you can see the efficiencies, but he's a two-way player, man. And if we want to give that consideration for Tatum's defense that we're going to hold Luka back for, that should be noticed. And if Tatum finishes ahead of Luka, maybe I shouldn't be that upset with that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jokic 1, Shai 2, Giannis 3, Luka 4, but I think that's my top 4 right now. So let's move on to Rookie of the Year, where it's kind of locked up. This is a little bit easier than MVP, and that's why I love doing, like, I wanted to do this, because MVP is not locked up by any means. But I think once the season is done, we'll all kind of tend to like have a favorite for some of these awards. But right now, that's still an open race. Rookie of the Year, though, is getting pretty much locked up. I'd say like at the All-Star break or a little bit before that, Chet still may have been the front runner to win, or the leader, but Wemby was obviously very close behind. But this last like 30 game stretch from Wemby is off the charts. So I also want to give some love to Brandon Miller, and I think he should be in this conversation because I think he's having a very similar year to Chet. But Wemby's, I think, been on another planet. Now, wins should not matter for this award. Rookies are generally drafted into poor situations. Chet was drafted onto a rebuilding Thunder team last year, but that team's had a year to develop, and this is his real rookie season. But I don't think that should matter. The Spurs are bad, the Hornets are bad, the Magic were bad last year with Paolo, and usually rookies are drafted on poor teams. So Wemby this year in 56 games, 20.7 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.3 steals, 3.5 blocks, leading the NBA. This dude is an insane rim protector and an elite defender already as a 19 and 20-year-old in his rookie season. Like we'll talk about him when we get to Depoy as well, because he'll be in that conversation. But it's funny because you'll watch guys that are 5 years older than him or experienced veterans try to go at him and at him on the defensive side of the floor. And he may get like 2 to 3 blocks on the same guy on the same possession. And it's just like how scary he is in that paint already as a 20-year-old is off the charts. I mean, he had this insane block on Şengün last night. Şengün ended up actually having a pretty good game on them. And he's not perfect. He could look very awkward out there on the perimeter given how lanky he is. But he knows how to stay in front of guys, and he's really good and polished already as a defender, and his efficiency is good. 47% from the field, 34 from 3, 82 from the line. He actually got off to an abysmal start shooting the ball from downtown to start off the year. So his like last, I think it's like 30-ish games, he's shooting at or north of 40% from 3, which is alien stuff. He truly is an alien, and he's going to be he's going to win Rookie of the Year, and he's probably going to be top 10 in MVP, like, odds going into next year. So it's incredible what Wemby's doing. Brandon Miller, though, wanted to give him some love, like 16.7 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists on a dysfunctional team this year that's lost their best player in LaMelo Ball. Mark Williams has dealt with injuries. They traded their veterans in Rozier and Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington, but it looks like he's a foundation building block, and they made the right selection, number 2. And I actually think he's a solid defender also. And his jumper is pure. It looks very good. He's shooting 38% from 3 and 83% from the line. Chet, though, very good as well. If it was a non-Wemby year, he would get it. It would have been an interesting race if this was like replicated with what Paolo did last year. That would be a little bit closer, because Chet is averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, and contributing on a very good team. Good defender, elite shooter already, shooting 40% from 3, basically 54% from the field. Still looks a little skinny at times out there, and maybe doesn't embrace contact as he should, but he's still a damn good rookie. If he won it, I don't think I'd be upset, but I do think it should go to Wemby. I think this one is a little bit more clear than MVP right now. So Wemby seems like he's setting records left and right. He's had 5x5 games where he's had at least 5 points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. And he missed it by 4, like he had 4 assists in one of them. And then he does it the next game. It's incredible what he's doing. And he's averaging like 5 blocks over his last like 10 games, which is also wild. So I'm going to go with Wemby as my Rookie of the Year. Depoy is tough. So if you're watching on YouTube, there's 6 names on your screen right now. You can also include Giannis in here as well. But I think Depoy is not locked up completely, but I do think Rudy Gobert is the front runner. So let's hop into some of these guys first, though. We could just talk about Wemby briefly. Like I just kind of talked about the presence he has inside. So the Spurs are the 8th worst defense in the league, which I think can hurt you a little bit, but because I think it should translate a little bit to how you are moving your team's defense, and I think it benefits if your team's top 5 in defense for some of these guys that we'll get to. But I don't think that should knock you completely, because like defensive rating and defensive statistics can really be a team thing, and it is. But Wemby, I think it's tough. Like as a rookie, I think he could finish like 3, maybe even 2, and I'm okay with it just because of the shot blocking ability this year. But I think it's a little hot, or I think it's a little too soon to give him Depoy. And I think wins, or at least team defensive statistics, should matter in a Depoy race. I think like wins should matter for obviously MVP and all NBA, but it should not matter for Rookie of the Year. But I think like defensive numbers should matter as a team as a whole for Depoy to tell a story, and he doesn't have that. But he's 19 and 20. He's gonna be probably the favorite to win Depoy next year. So I'm sorry, guys like Bam and Miles Turner who never got one. You may never actually get one because it might be Wemby for the next 5 years. Jared Allen, I want to give some love to as well. I think I may be a little bit higher on Jared Allen than some other people. I mean, the Cavs have the 3rd ranked defense right now, and he kept this team afloat and did such a good job in the absence of Evan Mobley. He's going to continue having to do that because Mobley is going to be out for the maybe the rest of the regular season, which is kind of crazy. But Allen, good shot blocker, is not afraid of anybody going at him at the rim. He's smart. He can call out things on side. And like I watched him play in person against the Sixers. It was a Friday at the end of February, and he's calling out things left and right. It looks like he's like that quarterback of the defense, the middle linebacker, and knows what he's doing. And he's kind of a veteran already, but he was just drafted in 2017. So I wanted to give him love. I also wanted to give love to a perimeter guy. So there's plenty of guys you could put here. You could put Shea, Derek White. I think before he got hurt, this was going to be OG Anunoby. And I think at one point when the Knicks were really balling, he was like 2nd in Depoy odds. But I'm going to give it to Herb Jones right now. We just locked down Halliburton the other night, and he is insane. Point of attack, transition defense, off ball, like weak side help. He is insane. How athletic he is, how smart he is, and how he doesn't get beat on the defensive side of the floor. He is truly one of the best defenders in the league. And I know Marcus Smart won it a couple years ago, Depoy, but I want to give love to at least a perimeter defender. And Herb Jones was the guy I chose. Like I also said before, like if all defensive teams were positionalists, it would go to a lot of big men. Like you can see on your screen, we have a ton of big men. We have 5 out of the 6, and I mentioned Giannis, so that's 6 guys that would be probably there that are power forwards and centers. And then Bam, I wanted to talk about as well, who I picked preseason. And it's a shame because Bam may never get a Depoy, but I feel like he's a top 3 defender every year. You could also put Jaren Jackson Jr. in here as well. I just could only put 6 guys into this stat head thing. And I think Bam, he has like the reputation and the inside presence where you're not going to like, you're going to think twice about going him at the rim. He's also so switchable, and he can guard 1 through 5 on a defensive side of the floor. And he's just that impressive. And he's had that veteran leadership for somebody also drafted in 2017. He already has a veteran mindset for somebody at the 5 spot, and he's averaging a steal and block a night. He's incredibly athletic, and he's also a great transition defender as well. So Bam, I think could finish top 3, and I'm okay with it. I think it comes down between Gobert and AD. The Timberwolves, though, what helps, they're the best ranked defense in the league, and they've been that the whole year. And I think Gobert, also, if you look at these Timberwolves defensive numbers before he got there, not very good. But as he's like turned this team around completely, even from year over year last year, and he's the anchor of the best defensive team in the league. And that's going to help you in the Depoy conversation. I mean, 80's been incredible as well. 2.5 blocks, 1.1 steals. The Lakers are, I think, the 17th best defensive team right now. And he, like Bam, though, has that inside presence. He can guard the reputation. He can guard guys on the perimeter as well. And he's a great shot blocker. And if you wanted to give him Depoy, I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with it. But I think it should go to Gobert. 2.1 blocks. The opponent field goal percentage at the rim with Gobert as the primary defender is incredibly low. It's because of Gobert, the Stifle Tower, and the guy that's the best defender on the best defensive team in the league. Maybe that should be Depoy. Maybe that should just end of the day being criteria for Depoy. I always say like MVP could be best player on best team. Maybe Depoy can go to best defender on the best defensive team. That shouldn't obviously be the whole story, but Gobert has the analytics to back it up. And I know it's boring because he's won multiple. This would be, I think, his 4th. Which I know he'd be a Hall of Famer already, but this even solidifies it even more as a first ballot guy. But he might win his 4th this year, which is truly mind blowing. But yeah, you could like I have these 6 guys, and then you could have Giannis and Triple J. But Depoy is still a little wide open. I think AD can make a run for it. I don't think Herb Jones can get it. Wemby would be cool, but it's going to knock on him that the Spurs are not a great defensive team overall. But like the Heat are really good defensively. They're 8th, so that could help Bam's case. I think Chet Holmgren could also be in the conversations as well. I know I don't have an Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs is really good, but we'll get to him later. And like Derek White and them later as well. So 6th man of the year we'll hop to next. I have 5 guys that I want to talk about. Since Russ is out for the year, I'm not going to talk about him. So 2 guys that I don't think are going to get it, but I wanted to include them. First one being Karis LeVert. He was kind of a favorite as the season started because he was averaging a ton of points off the bench, but his efficiency, in my opinion, isn't going to help him out. I think it's going to knock him out of the conversation. 41% from the field, 33% from 3, 75% from the line. Too inconsistent for me to be my 6th man. Tim Hardaway Jr., I think at a point was kind of the leader for 6th man of the year as well. And he's more efficient than LeVert. He's averaging 16 points, 41% from the field, 36 from 3, 88 from the line. Good 3-point shooter. Solid. It's not elite, but it's good. Great free throw shooter. Still takes some bad shots at times and can kind of shoot them out of games, I feel like, even coming off the bench. And the defense also leaves a lot to be desired, like his teammate there, Luka Doncic in Dallas. Naz Reid is super fun. And I would love to see his numbers as a starter. Like, he doesn't play a ton of minutes. He's played in 62 games this year, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 48% from the field, 41% from 3. Can handle the rock like a guard, but I don't think he's going to have like the pure standout winning added numbers to justify as a 6th man. But if he won it, I'm cool with it. I love Naz Reid. Shout out to LSU. And then I think it comes down between Malik Monk and Norman Powell. Powell's numbers, like scoring 13.5 points, it would be higher, but he's behind James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. His efficiency, though, may win him it. 49% from the field, 45 from 3, 82 from the line. I think Monk is a better defender. Like, none of these guys are truly elite defenders by any means. Reed's probably the best guy here. Monk, I think, though, has impacted the Kings more than Powell has. Like, Powell's like the 4th guy on the Clippers team, and I think Monk is the 3rd guy behind Sabonis and Fox, better than Barnes. And I think Murray this year. And Monk is averaging, like, I think as a playmaker too, he's averaging 5.2 assists, the best playmaker out of anybody here by far. or him and Levert are up there. But 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists for Monk, 45 from the field. Solid. It's not great, but it's solid. 37 from 3, solid. And then 80% from the line. I think he's just been really good for the Kings this year. And a team that's a 7 seed, and he's the 3rd best player on that team, I think, this season. I'm going to give my 6th man of the year award to Malik Monk. But if you wanted to give it to Norman Powell, I'm okay with that as well. I think it should be down between those two guys. So most improved. Let's get to this. Most improved. What do I have to say about most improved? So last year, I think they got it right with Lauri Markkanen, but 2 years ago is where I think they really messed it up and they gave it to Ja Morant. I do not think that most improved player should go to somebody that we are expecting to have a linear development. Ja Morant was literally the number 2 overall pick. We expected him to average 27 points at one point in his career. He should not have been most improved. It should have went to Jordan Poole, who was a G League guy at one point, a late first round pick. I agree with that. I do not think, I know he was a late first round pick at like 20 or 21. I do not think that Tyrese Maxey should be most improved. I know he was an all-star this year, 26 points, 3.7 rebounds, 6.3 assists. But we knew this from Maxey. We saw this last year, and we saw this in the on-off numbers with Harden not on the floor or Embiid. Maxey looked like a true number 1. This guy has been really good out of the gate. I don't think we've seen any improvement this year in his game that we didn't expect. Yes, he's improved, but I don't think that's what this award should go to. I think it should go back to its roots. I don't think J-Dub should get this award. He's up there in the conversation as well. He's improved a ton from year 1 to year 2, but you know what that's supposed to happen with? Sophomores. They're supposed to improve off their rookie season. I don't think any sophomore should ever be in consideration for this award. When I heard Cade's name last year, we talked about this, hated that. I hated that so much, and I even hate it for top draft picks as well. Like number 1, 2, or 3 picks. They should not be in this conversation unless they look like they're bust and they completely turn their career around. But J-Dub has been phenomenal this year on both ends of the floor, but I don't think he should be in that combo. I love the year that like Alperen Şengün is having, but I think we saw this jump as well from last year. But he's averaging 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists a night. He looks like Jokic light out there. And I think if he won that award, I think he's probably more deserving of this award than Maxey is, because I think we knew this was coming from Maxey. We did. And I could even say like Brunson in a much larger role last year, we knew that was coming from him. I think, to some people. So it's tough with that. Like Jalen Johnson has improved a ton this year as well. I liked him at Duke, but I was worried about his development after last year. Because I don't think he improved too much off his rookie year. Like we saw glimpses, but it was nothing crazy. But he's really jumped out this year. 16 points, 9 rebounds, over a steal a night, good efficiency from the field and from 3. Or at least solid from 3 at 34%. I think he should be in the combo. I don't think he should win it. I think it should go to Coby White. Coby White, like, even to start off this year, we were like, is he the 5th best guy on this team? But you know what? I think Coby White's been the best ball this year. This guy was paid, like, re-signed in the offseason. I initially didn't like the contract, but I came around to it. After being, like, a so-and-so overall field goal percentage guy, a so-and-so shot creator off the bench, a so-and-so defender, so-and-so primary ball handler, since being a top 10 pick in the 2019 draft out of UNC. But this year, like I said, I think he could be the best Chicago ball. I think he's been better than Vooch, better than Levine, better than Caruso, maybe even better than DeRozan. He's played 61 games also, most of anybody here. 20 points per game. Yeah, Coby White, 20 point per game scorer. On good efficiency. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 45% from the field, 39% from 3, 83% from the line. Like, looks like a true number 1 at sometimes late in the game. And where did we see this coming from Coby White? Coby White now looks like a foundational building block for the Bulls as they hope to enter a rebuild. I hope they do. And I don't know, man. I think that Coby White should get it over Tyrese Maxey. If you disagree with me, please let me know. But I think Maxey, we saw an all-star caliber season coming from him, especially when they traded James Harden. I don't think we even thought of this from Coby White, the type of season he's having this year. I think he could have averaged 14 points, like 40% from the field, 40% from 3, and be like, yeah, that makes sense for Coby White. But he's looked he's looked like a true number 2 on a championship team this year. That's what I can view him as now, which is crazy to say. And I would give it to Coby White. I don't think wins should matter in most improved player. The Jazz were not a playoff team last year, and Lauri Markkanen won the award, so clearly it shouldn't matter. But I think Coby White's my most improved. And I said it. I think Coby White should win most improved. You guys can let me know what you agree with, disagree with. I think I even predicted Maxey preseason, and you know what? I think I'm wrong. I think if like Coby White wasn't here in this equation, say Coby White was pretty like standard this year, and it was between Maxey, Şengün, Jalen Johnson, and J-Dub, I would give it to Maxey. But I think the fact what Coby White has done this year, he is going to be my most improved player. So that's pretty much it for these kind of awards. For Coach of the Year, it's tough. I think it's between 3 guys right now. I think it's between JB Bickerstaff of the Cavs, 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, went on a crazy good stretch. I know it was not against the greatest competition, but without Evan Mobley and Garland, and they've had plethora of injuries this season. I think JB Bickerstaff should be in that combo. I think Chris Finn should be in that combo in Minnesota and how good their defense has been this year, and they've been at the top of the Western Conference the whole year. And I think Mark Daigneault of the OKC Thunder should also be in this conversation. If Joe Mazzulla got it, fine. They're the best team in the league. I'm okay with it. If Jamal Mosley got some conversations and some love for that award, I'm cool with it. The Magic have also been great defensively and are the 4 seed in the East right now. I would give it to Mark Daigneault, though, because I think he's achieving so much. 2 seed in the West, half a game behind the first spot, good defensive team, good offensive team, has an MVP guy on the team, and they're all so young. Nobody in the starting 5 is older than 25 years old. They're like the youngest team in the league, and I think he's turned this team into an elite Western Conference team, an elite, possibly title contender in such a short amount of time, and I think he's due for a Coach of the Year. So I'm going to opt for Mark Daigneault as my Coach of the Year. For Executive of the Year, I think it's pretty easy. I think it's going to be Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics. Just adding Kristaps Porzingis and 2 first-round picks for Marcus Smart. Like, are you kidding me? What a trade. Realizing maybe the limit on Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon on this team and flipping them and some draft capital for Drew Holiday, who's now like your 5th most important guy offensively, but he's like such an important part to this team defensively. And he's a veteran leader with championship experience who knows his role and is fine taking a back seat this year and being like the 5th most important guy offensively. So Brad Stevens would be my Executive of the Year pick. I'm trying to think on like who else I would give it to. Because like the Timberwolves, I don't think did anything year over year to be that impressive. The Thunder, like drafting Chet was last year. Drafting J-Dub was last year. You can maybe give it to the Clippers GM. No, like I don't think the Harden move should get that much praise. Like you could maybe give some love to Leon Rose and the Knicks. I think if they ended up as like the 2 seed or the 3 seed, you could have given it to them because I mean they added Bojan Bogdanovic. They added OG Anunoby, like they traded away quickly and RJ Barrett. They signed Dante DiVincenzo. They moved on from Obi Toppin. Like they made notable moves, but like they extended Josh Hart. Brunson was a year ago. I don't know though. It would be tough. I think it should go to Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics. So clutch player of the year, Luka. Sure, give it to somebody that's been very clutch this year. I'm okay with like anybody getting this award. It's such a new award, and let's just go to the guy with the most clutch points. Sure, that's efficient. I don't know, but yeah, I'll go with Luka for my clutch player of the year. So, All NBA first team. This is tough. So actually, the All NBA teams, first team was the least tough in my opinion. Second team got a little tougher. Third team's impossible because there's so many snubs. First team, though, easy. For the 4 guys I mentioned in the MVP conversation. I love this being positionalist. So we have Jokic, Luka, Shea, Giannis. That's pretty much my 1 through 4 right there. All those guys are going to hit 65 games, I think. Like, there's a chance Luka doesn't if he gets hurt, but I think he'll hit it. So I'm going to opt for those 4 because they're my 4 MVP guys. And then I think the 5th spot is kind of close between 2 guys. I said Donovan Mitchell or Jason Tatum or Kevin Durant. I think maybe 3 guys. I opted for Jason Tatum. I wanted to give some love to the Celtics, who are the best team in the league, and Tatum's been good on both ends of the floor this year, and he's been in the MVP conversation at times. So my All-NBA first team is Jokic, Luka, Shea, Giannis, and Tatum. Second team, Donovan Mitchell made it. Kevin Durant made it. Pretty self-explanatory. Those 2 guys were not on first team, but I had them right there as well. And they're both on good teams this year. I think that's also my criteria for this award. Well, I don't know or think it is. I know it is. You got to pretty much be a playoff team. So it's not like a top 8 seed thing now. It's like a top 10 seed. So as long as you're above 500, I'm giving it to you right now. And then when I make these awards after the playing tournament is done, I think you'll have to have made the playoffs. So basically the 1 through 10 in the West are eligible, and then 1 through 8 in the East are eligible. So no Bulls and no Hawks. So I went with Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant, both the best players on their teams this year. I went with Kawhi Leonard as well. Clippers are the 4th seed. Kawhi actually might hit this 65-game threshold, which is wild, and is an elite 2-way player. His efficiency is off the charts, and he's the best player on this Clippers team. Anthony Davis, I gave some love to as well for his 2-way play. The Lakers are 34-29, still a respectable record. I think they'll make the playoffs. So I'm sorry, Mavs or Kings fans. Maybe I don't think one of you guys will make it. But yeah, for what Anthony Davis has done on both ends of the floor, I wanted to give him some love. And I've given love to the top 2 teams I've given some love to the Celtics with Tatum on first team, Giannis on first team, Shea on first team. I want to also give some love to the 1 seed in the Western Conference, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I gave it to Anthony Edwards, who was the best player on the 1 seed in the West this year. So that's why I went with Ant on the second team. So that was not maybe the toughest in the world. I think maybe AD could be the first guy out, or Anthony Edwards. Third team, I'm giving it to the All-Star starter, Tyrese Halliburton, who has led the Pacers to being respectable at 35 and 28. They could still finish as the 4 seed. I know he's on a little bit of a cold spell, played well against the Mavericks, though. Best passer in the league, All-Star starter, credible jumper, credible in transition. The dude, I think, is a top 15 guy this year. But the thing with Halliburton is, like, as I pull up how many games he has played, he might not hit 65. He's at 50, so it's going to be close. It's going to be close. He can't really miss much time. I know that's a big thing with him, if he's going to sit out or not. Jalen Brunson as well. I don't think this is a homer pick for me. I think he's truly been a top 15 guy this year. He might not hit the 65 game threshold. Who knows? Because he's got the knee contusion, but it looks like it's not super serious. But he's averaging 27 and 7, shooting 47% from the field, 40% from three, and has led the Knicks to being, when healthy, a top team in the Eastern Conference, and was an all-star, could have been an all-star starter. I think I think Brunson should be on an all-NBA team, so I got him on third team. I got Steph as well on third team. This Warriors team would be one of the worst teams in the league without him. They're 32 and 28. So as long as they're still alive in a play-in tournament atmosphere and environment, I can give Steph an award here. But if the Warriors get knocked out in the first leg, nope, he's not going to be on my end of season awards. I got Domantas Sabonis as well. I wanted to get a king in here. Between Fox or Sabonis, I think what he's done, basically averaging like 20 and 11 and 7 this year with his efficiency, with his presence inside, I wanted to give Sabonis some love. And then I went with, it's tough, man. So honorable mentions, I have basically written out Damian Lillard. It's tough to maybe not put him in. He's an all-star starter. Tyrese Maxey. Got to give him some love because there's no Joel Embiid. Paolo Banchero for the Magic this year. Both Heat guys, and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Wanted to give some love to Jaylen Brown as well, who could definitely be in this spot. And I may give it to him. I also have Devin Booker here. He may not get 65 games. So it's pretty much between Devin Booker, LeBron James, and Jaylen Brown. I was originally going to go with LeBron, but the way that Brown has been this year on both ends of the floor, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on the best team in the league. But LeBron just won player of like the week, and it's tough. This is definitely the toughest one so far. LeBron, Booker, or Brown. I'm going to go LeBron. I'm going to go with what I had originally. If you guys think that it should go to Booker or Jaylen Brown, let me know. If you think it's weird to have 2 Lakers and not 2 Celtics, I'm fine with that. I mean, that's a good counter argument. So I'm going to go with LeBron. So third team is Halliburton, Brunson, Curry, Sabonis, and LeBron. Like I said, I had a ton of honorable mentions. Any one of those guys you could have taken out for Sabonis, LeBron, Sabonis or LeBron, I think, and I'd be okay with it. But I think Halliburton, Brunson, and Curry should definitely make it. All defensive teams, this was tough. I think, because it's tough because it's positional, so only 2 centers make it. So obviously my Depoy Rudy Gobert is my center. Forwards, I don't know if it's cheating having Herb Jones as a forward, but I got Herb Jones and Giannis as my forward spots. And then I got Shea and Derek White in my backcourt. I think it's, at the end of the day, sometimes it gets subjective with some of these defense because there's not like this all one encompassing defensive statistic that we can look at. And sometimes it's the eye test. Sometimes it is these defensive analytics. Sometimes it's how these teams are helping out their team overall defensively, and are they one of the better defensive teams in the league? White and Shea check off both those boxes, so I gave them my all defensive second team or first team spots. Giannis and Herb Jones, what they do on the perimeter. I think inside is impressive for Herb Jones and impressive for Giannis on the perimeter, and I gave my spiel about Gobert and Depoy before. Second team, I got Caruso of the Chicago Bulls. So an incredible point of attack defender on ball. If you want to give this to like Drew Holiday, I'm okay with that as well because he's a snub. Because my second guard spot, I do have Jalen Suggs. I wanted to get a Magic in here. They've been great defensively all season, and I think he deserves some love for his defense as well on the point of attack, off ball, just on ball in general, even like being a post defender. He's incredibly impressive. So I don't know, like I have a Timberwolves like number 1 defensive team in Rudy Gobert. I have a Celtic on these all defensive teams in Derek White. Like I said, you like on first team, I don't know, it's tough. So my forwards, I went with OG Anunoby. From what I read, there's no game requirement for all defensive teams. I don't think he's going to hit 65 games. He's not going to, but I just wanted to put him in here because he's just been absolutely incredible, both in Toronto and especially his time in New York this year. And then I went, it was tough for the next forward spot. I mean, you can go with a ton of guys. I would go with Draymond here, but he has not played enough. So I went with Jaylen Brown. It's tough. Like, if I could somehow put like Drew Holiday in a forward spot, I would do that. But I think Jaylen Brown has actually been kind of underrated as a defender this year for the Celtics, him and Tatum. So I think you can put a Celtic forward here. And then I went with Anthony Davis as my second center spot. I could, you know what? I'm changing it on the spot. Wait, let me see if I can actually maybe finesse this. I don't know if this is kind of cheap, but I wonder if I could move AD to my 4, and then I can get like Jared Allen or Bam at the 5. Let's see. AD has played 3% of minutes as a power forward. All right, I'll leave it at just Brown at the 3, or Brown as a forward, AD as a center. But if I could somehow put AD as a forward, I would make him a forward, take out Brown or Anunoby, and I would add in either Wemby or Jared Allen. So the defensive teams are tough, for sure. Like, that can go to like another 5 or so honorable mentions in that. And then all rookie teams. First, obviously, Wet. Wow, I combined Wemby and Chet. There we go. Wemby, Chet, and Brandon Miller. And then I also gave some love to Jaime Jaquez, one of the top kind of offensive guys as a rookie this year as well. Been contributing on a good Miami Heat team and is going to play notable minutes in the playoffs as well. He is, I think, he's 5th in offensive scoring for rookies. 12.7 points, 49% from the field. Pretty good stuff. And then I went with Derek Lively for the 5th spot on all rookie first team. 9 points per game. He's averaging around 7 rebounds, over a block a night, and has been a really good contributor to the Dallas Mavericks and has been asked to do a ton this year as a 19 and 20-year-old. So for second team, he's not played a ton of games, 35 games, but he's been an absolute bucket when he plays. Cam Whitmore, I want him to make it. Now, my next guy has only played in 29 games, so he's going to finish with like 45, maybe 50-ish this year. G.G. Jackson, he's been good for a Memphis team that has had a ton of injuries. Brandon Podziemski also went with as well. Just an all-around contributor to Golden State and has definitely been asked to do more than maybe he thought of coming out of Santa Clara in this draft. I gave the second to last spot to Ausar Thompson of the Detroit Pistons, mainly because of his defense. Not great offensive year, obviously on a terrible team, but I think what his defense has been this year, I think has earned him a spot on all rookie second team. And then the last spot could have been between a ton of guys. Jordan Hawkins. I wish Amen Thompson has played a little bit more, because I would love to give it to him. Scoot Henderson's been too efficient for me, in my opinion. Dwop Reith, want to give him some love, but he's like 27, so I'm going to give it to Keontae George. I think Grady Dixon has also been a great shooter as of late, but I'm giving it to Keontae George as a playmaker for Utah, stepping up as maybe their lead point guard option. He's been a little inefficient at times, but the three-point shot is at least somewhat respectable. For Scoot, it's not been. So I'm giving it to Keontae George. So you got Cam, GG, Podziemski, Ausar, and George on my all-rookie second team. So I think this one actually worked. Third time's a charm recording this. I hope you guys did enjoy my, I guess, 3/4 of the way season update awards. I'll do this again once the season ends, and then we can kind of react to my preseason awards on the pod too, so that'll be fun. Hope you guys did enjoy on YouTube. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I would really appreciate a rating and review over there as well. I love you guys, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.